What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over a little news story, or technically rumor, that's going around online talking about this relationship between PlayStation and Square Enix. So this was on the Reset Era forums and came from user Head on the Block, but people believe this to be I'm a Hero too, and this person is very good. So as long as the person actually is who we think they are, then, the rest of this can be said, right? You can definitely take it as a rumor, take it with a grain of salt, but if this is who we think it is, it seems like this is going to happen, or this is technically what is happening behind the scenes. And pretty much what they say is, in terms of the exclusivity deals, that this relationship between PlayStation and Square Enix is about to get much, much worse. Now, they're talking about it in the sense that it's going to get tighter. They're going to get closer together. I guess there's a way of looking at it in the reverse, right? That their relationship will dissolve, right? The relationship will get much, much worse. Instead, it's the exclusivity, the more like nitpicky things, right? Keeping games off of PC or Xbox or whatever it may be for maybe longer periods of time, or maybe some games aren't going to be on Xbox, period. There's a lot of, now from this, there's just a lot of speculation, right? Technically, I mean, number one, we don't know if it's true in the first place. Number two, we don't know what exactly would be getting worse, right? There's speculation that like Final Fantasy Rebirth is never going to make it on Xbox console. There's people throwing around maybe Kingdom Hearts. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3 was not exclusive, right? I always had assumed Kingdom Hearts 4 would also not be all that exclusive. I'll say this, in terms of like my own personal opinion on this thing. I'm actually kind of surprised if this is real for two different reasons. Number one, it seems like Sony's partnerships with Japanese companies is actually weakening. You look at what's happening, and I guess this is part two to that. You look at what's happening with Square Enix and Xbox, and people are reading into this and saying, well, hey, maybe this just means that like the Octopath Travelers, of the world, those kind of games, they're not going to be exclusive anymore to like one thing or the other. They'll be a little bit more fair with that, right? Some of the older Final Fantasies. You could argue, you could actually argue the reverse, where it's like, well, that doesn't really make much sense. It seems like Xbox is kind of like jumping in and saying, hey, maybe from now on, you can stop doing what you're doing with PlayStation. But, again, to the point of, well, it seems like PlayStation's deals are kind of weakening. And you also have things, I look actually at like Atlas, right, with Persona. And it seems like Persona 6 is not going to be exclusive, which is fine. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But in terms of those exclusivity deals, right, Persona 5 was. And now Persona 6 seems like it won't be. So if you're just kind of looking at it for what it is, at least right now, right, when you see Phil Spencer on stage and they're talking about Final Fantasy coming to Xbox next year, and it's like, okay, well, things maybe are changing, and is this almost a precursor to Sony buying Square Enix? Look, I've said this before, and this is not like console fanboy, like literally at all. I'm saying this is kind of how I see it. We're at a point where Xbox is coming in. It looks like things might get a little bit more fair, like across the board. And does PlayStation look at that and say, okay, well, we're not doing this? Now, up until this point, I've actually said I feel like PlayStation just one random day just buys them, right? Square Enix, and say, you know what? We don't want Phil Spencer coming in and talking to these guys. It seems like these deals aren't going to work anymore. We'll just buy you. But yet again, now that we have this rumor, it's actually possible there was another outcome. Xbox steps in, Sony is seeing this all, this kind of stuff happening, and they say, well, we'll up our deals. Instead of paying you X amount of money for a certain deal to obviously be exclusive, we'll pay you even more than that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes in terms of like, is it a good or bad thing? I mean, I get it from PlayStation's angle, right? This is something they've obviously done for a while. I don't know if this is like what's best. I guess what I would prefer, if you're going to do something like this, you should outright buy them, right? I mean, we've talked about the Activision Blizzard thing. And look, ultimately, someone like me talking online, we're not stopping, deals, acquisitions from going through, right? Would I like Square Enix to remain independent? Yes. But also, if you're going to be so exclusively on PlayStation anyway, right? If you're going to make all these deals, you might as well, I guess, just be owned by them. And maybe that would put to bed the Final Fantasy 16. And that's like another issue with this, right? I would say, I guess I'd like more clarity on that stuff. This whole kind of, narrative online of, well, are these games not selling well because they're just flat out, and the narrative really is, they're just not coming out on Xbox. So if they did come out on Xbox, would they do better? I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I actually would like to know that, and I guess no matter how you look at this rumor, you probably won't get an answer, right? Because if things are even more exclusive now to PlayStation than they were, you're not ever going to be able to test it out, right? Like, does Final Fantasy sell on Xbox? I don't know. We're not going to find out in general. And I guess the other, obviously, option, if Square Enix is bought by PlayStation, well, you're also not going to see Final Fantasy on Xbox. I don't know. It's hard to read overall. Like I said, I mean, if you're going to be so, like, second party, like, exclusive, and you're going to do it over and over and over again, I mean, we're at a point, and I think Sega, Square Enix, Ubisoft eventually even, like, I think a lot of these companies do get bought, and that's kind of why I guess I'm not fighting it all that bad, right? Like, Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, and they have Bethesda, so PlayStation, they're probably going to make a move eventually. Square Enix already has this thing. I'm almost just like, it is what it is. I have kind of been expecting it for a long time, so I wouldn't be shocked, right? I guess that's where I'm coming at, but we'll see. We'll see what he means by this, because if they're not going to buy them, and then it's just going to be more exclusive, well, it already kind of is, right? So how much, like, more strict can it possibly be? I don't know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.